The galaxy had a rhythm I had never truly understood until I set foot on Solara Prime, a planet whose name sounded like a melody of steel and wind. I was no soldier, no adventurer, just an ordinary human with a taste for forbidden stories, someone who had always found solace in the unknown. Yet here I was, standing at the edge of an arena that had seen the rise and fall of countless warriors, staring at a being whose presence alone could bend the air around her. She was called the Lyra, an alien gladiator from the Varelian clans, known across 5 systems for her unmatched prowess. Rumors said she had never lost a duel, that her eyes could pierce the bravest of hearts, and that her loyalty, if earned, was eternal. I had come seeking stories, but what I found instead was a collision of fate. When she first looked at me, it was not with hostility, nor curiosity. It was assessment. Her luminous skin shimmered like molten silver, and her elongated limbs moved with the grace of a predator entirely in control. I remember thinking, this is not a creature you approach lightly. Yet, for reasons I could not explain, I stepped closer. "You are human," she said, her voice a harmonic resonance that felt almost like music. "And you do not belong here." "I belong wherever stories are waiting to be told," I replied, my heart hammering in my chest. It sounded braver than I felt. She tilted her head, a motion so alien it was almost disturbing. "Then you will watch," she said, "and perhaps learn." I did watch. For days, I observed the Lyra train, her movements a fluid dance of death and precision. She fought not out of rage, but purpose, each strike measured, each parry an art form. And yet, between the battles and training, there were glimpses of something I could not define, a flicker of doubt in her eyes, a hesitation that betrayed a depth of thought far beyond the simplicity of survival. It was during one of these quiet moments, when the twin suns of Solara Prime cast long shadows across the arena, that she spoke again. "Why do you linger?" she asked. "Curiosity? Or is it something more?" I swallowed hard. "Perhaps both. You are unlike anything I've ever known." Her gaze softened, just slightly, and she stepped closer. "Do you know what it is to promise someone forever?" I shook my head, unsure if I even wanted the answer. To fight beside them, to defend them, to hold them safe in a galaxy that will try to tear them apart. Her words were a whisper now, almost too fragile to hear. "I have done this for centuries." "But promises," she paused, eyes glimmering like molten starlight. "They are harder than swords." I had no response. There was something intoxicating in the weight of her confession, something that stirred a part of me I had long kept buried. Hope. The next challenge was sudden. The arena was called for a ceremonial duel, an event where gladiators prove themselves not just to survive, but to reaffirm the unbroken codes of their clans. The Lyra was summoned, and I followed her to the pit, the ground echoing under our steps. I was forbidden to enter, of course, but the organizers allowed me to observe from the high stands. Her opponent was a monstrous creature from the outer colonies, a beast bred for combat with claws that could rend steel. The crowd roared as the duel began, but all I could focus on was the Lyra. She moved like liquid, dodging, striking, weaving her strategy in real time. The clash was violent, a symphony of metal and fury, yet somehow she made it appear effortless. And then, in the final moments, she hesitated. The beast lunged, and she caught its strike midair, holding it with impossible strength. For a heartbeat, I saw fear, or was it doubt, flicker across her expression. "You promised forever," I whispered to myself, remembering her words. When the fight ended, the Lyra emerged victorious, though she was battered and bleeding. I ran to the edge of the stands, but security stopped me. Her eyes met mine, and in them I saw a question. "Do you still believe?" "Yes," I shouted, though my voice shook. "I believe." Her lips curved into something like a smile. It was rare for the Lyra, and it made my chest ache. Later, in the privacy of her chambers, she spoke again. "I promised forever," she said, her voice softer now, almost tender. "Yet I question my words. Not because of you, but because the galaxy is cruel. I have loved before and lost. I do not know if I am strong enough to endure it again." I reached for her hand, half expecting her to recoil, but she let me take it. "Then do not question me," I said. "Let me choose to believe. Let us define forever together." She stared at me for a long moment, and then, without warning, her resolve faltered. "And if I fail you? If I falter, as all beings eventually do?" "Then we falter together," I said, "and we rise together." For a long time, neither of us spoke. The tension was not just about love. It was about survival, about trust, about risking everything in a galaxy that demanded strength and rewarded cunning. Yet in that silence, I felt something shift. Something that had been dormant in both of us. Hope. Weeks passed. We trained together in secret, refining our skills, our minds, our trust. The Lyra taught me the intricacies of combat, the strategies of survival, the delicate art of reading an opponent's intent. I shared my knowledge of human ingenuity, improvisation, and storytelling, the subtle weapons of a species that thrived on creativity rather than brute strength. And then came the day that would test everything. A rival clan attacked Solara Prime, a faction known for slaughtering anyone who dared challenge their supremacy. The arena became a battlefield. The Lyra and I fought side by side, our movements synchronized as if we were extensions of the same body. Every strike she made, I anticipated. Every maneuver I performed, she complimented. At the climax of the battle, we faced the enemy's champion, a Varelian like her, but consumed by ambition and rage. The duel was brutal. I barely held my own, relying on the instincts she had taught me. The Lyra's eyes caught mine in the chaos, and I saw that same question flicker again. Forever? But this time, I answered with action. I intercepted a lethal strike aimed at her, pushing her out of harm's way. She stared at me, disbelief and gratitude warring in her gaze. In that moment, the promise became real. Not just words, but a bond forged in fire and blood. When the battle ended, the arena was silent. Survivors tended to the wounded, and the rival clan retreated. I looked at the Lyra, expecting the usual guarded expression. Instead, she knelt before me, her hand brushing against my cheek. "You did not need to," she whispered. "I chose to," I said, "because forever is a choice, not a word." Her eyes softened, and for the first time, the full weight of her promise rested between us. Not a fragile vow, but a living, breathing reality. "Then I will keep my word," she said. "Forever, if you still desire it." I smiled, feeling the enormity of what we had found amidst the chaos of war. "I do. Always." And as the twin suns of Solara Prime dipped below the horizon, casting the arena in hues of gold and violet, we stood together, no longer gladiator and human, but partners bound by choice, courage, and an unspoken promise that would define the rest of our lives. Yet even as I held her hand, I knew that forever would not be simple. Doubts would arise, dangers would loom, and the galaxy would test us again. But in that moment, it did not matter. We had chosen each other, and that choice was stronger than any weapon, braver than any challenge, and more enduring than the stars themselves. And in the quiet between the wars, between the battles, between the fear and hope, I realized something profound. Sometimes, forever is not the absence of doubt, but the courage to embrace it together.